And all right, welcome to Road Trip to Bliss. I'm here with MaZiX Mahalal. Did I say
You
it
got
right?
it. Mahalel, yeah.
Okay, great. You correct me if I'm wrong. So anyway, welcome to the show. I appreciate you coming here tonight and sharing with the world what you do and what you're all about. So it looks like you are a soul
Soul alignment mentor.
alignment and a quantum leap expert. So tell me, I'm really interested about that. But tell me all
Yeah.
about that.
Yes. Well, uh, in my career, my profession, I support awakened change makers, leaders, entrepreneurs, visionaries to clear the blocks, the subconscious blocks, the unconscious blocks, for radical transformation and greater impact. And to me, it's really about I support them in living their best life, aligning to live their best life, clearing everything that gets on the way, which is like 98% of the things are unconscious and subconscious, right?
Right,
So we know that
exactly.
something there, right? You're like, I'm trying to do these things. And then, I mean, there's so many ways that we see blocks. But yeah, that's my genius to see them very clearly, clear them, and then like creating like a radical transformation. When I say radical transformation, it's like literally they feel totally different. And then also the reality, their life starts to truly,
Mm,
yeah.
right. So how did you get started?
Well, about 10 years ago, just about 10 years ago, I remember. Okay, so let me back up a little bit. Actually, about 12 years ago, I was working in corporate for about 80 to 90 hours a week.
Mm,
I was about 62 pounds over. And my doctor, I went for a checkup, right? And my doctor said, you're about to be diabetic. And
mm,
then all the memories click like a movie, right? All the memories, like I had seen one of my employees being diabetic, and I was like, and how he couldn't eat just about anything, and the insulin and all that. And I was like, I can't afford that. That was my thought, I can't afford that, right? And so from that, a few months later, I was like, okay, I couldn't fit in any clothes. I was size 12, and that's what I started to cry. And I said, it's starting tomorrow, because we had the Mother's Day the next day. So I was like, but it's starting like the day after, I'm gonna like, this is gonna change. And so I quit my job. I lost, within a year, all that 62 pounds were gone. But to me, I moved from corporate working in a resort to like, okay, I moved down to the city. I lived in the mountains, and I was like, now what's next? I know I want to work on something fulfilling. I know I'm really good at whatever I put my mind into it. I get it
mm-hmm.
done, and I get it done very well. I have a lot of potential, right? And but I didn't know what was next, right? So I was just looking, and I applied. I did find a job that was similar but didn't require so many hours, but I wanted to find something fulfilling. So I remember being frustrated a year after, like trying to find that fulfillment, right? And then I was in Red Rocks in a concert, and while everybody was partying, I started to tear up. I was just crying. I started to bawl, and I prayed to the divine, to the universe. And back then, the universe and I weren't getting along so much, you know, one of those things. I was like, so I said, I just prayed, and I said, use me. I have so much potential. I want to be seen by someone that can see my potential and then use me, right?
Mm,
And then I started my journey, because then a few months later I found an opportunity to start a business, and then another business. So I had two businesses running, and they both were doing really good money, and I started to do really good. And I came across this offer of a program that said, are you ready for an abundant, I remember, 2014? And I was like, yeah. Like, what is this about, right? And so I got in. And I learned all about the lady was offering, and I didn't know anything about energy work, nothing. Right, like nothing subconscious, nothing. I had just woken up with like someone presenting to me the secret, right? So I was like, I knew this, I knew it, right? Like it makes sense, all the things that I knew. But then, like, again, energy work and talk about blocks, and then I was like, they offer money back guarantee. So I was like, okay, so what's the worst that can happen? They offer money back guarantee. If it doesn't work, I'll just ask for more money back, right? So I got into it, and yeah, that was the beginning. Little did I know all the things that would bring, But yeah, I started because what called me is like I was doing good and I wanted to do better. I wanted to have more abundance, of course, more money, more happiness. I wanted to have it more with ease, and I still wanted to like feel fulfilled, right? And yeah, I started this program. All of a sudden, all my gifts walking up like pretty much literally overnight. But at the same time, all my gifts showed up, right? And my connection with my soul and the divine, also all the density and all the vlogs showed up. And I was like literally one day, my regular that I was semi-conscious of it was anger, right? So I started to extra angry or depressed, extra angry, depressed, and I'm like, what is happening? And that is what it took me into this like journey of like, okay, something is up. I need to find out. And I started to get into healing. But in the beginning, my path was very much like, I'm doing this for me having my best, right? And as I was going through different programs and meeting different people, they were like, you seem to get it. Can you help me? Right. And then people just start to come to me to coach them, to help them heal, to heal them. Right. And then that's like, and then I was like, okay, I was doing that just by intuition. I didn't even know what it was coaching back then. I was like, I don't know. I'm just going to guide you. Um, and then after that, I saw the people were having the shifts. And so I got into studying for a little bit. And then, yeah, that got my path started.
So tell me, what does quantum leap expert mean?
Ooh, yeah. So
It's something I've heard about decades. I'm talking a long, long time ago, but I like you, I was also in corporate America, and you just don't hear about these things, right? You're just living your life, right? You're just going
yeah,
along, and then you hear something and something. I did that with Reiki. I went to a Reiki master in 2008 or 9, and I don't even know what
I
prompted
love
me
it.
to look for it, or I had no clue, but it opened up a can of worms because it was like I lost my job. Was in the middle of a divorce right after that. It was like you said, it just like brought up all this stuff. And I was like, oh my God, what the hell is happening?
Yeah,
But it was what needed to be moved out of the way so I could start my journey, right? And it's
yeah,
crazy how things just happen that
yeah,
way. And it's
yeah.
like, no, look over here, go over here, you know?
It's so beautiful because, of course, from this human perspective, it's like, oh my God, what is happening? Right? Chaos and all this stuff. Like, and it
Yeah.
feels like everything is falling apart. But from the higher perspective, from the soul, is like, no, this is what needs to happen, right? You just didn't know what you were asking for, right? I want to live my best life. Are you sure?
Right.
Sure. I'm like,
Right.
yes, yes. And there's a journey because right now there is a reason why you're not living your best life, right? There's things that you need to let go, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so to your question, I'm gonna something that is coming very practical for anyone listening. So quantum leaping could be like, so see how regular people win the lottery and then all of a sudden they're millions, right? So that's quantum leaping. Like you're living your life and then all of a sudden a massive shift. You find yourself in a different reality, right? So the easiest way to relate is that lottery. Um,
Mm.
and so we experience that with let's say if we're in a super abusive space or like my job, right, corporate, and then all of a sudden, like, no, I'm free, like, and you don't know what to do with yourself, right? And so to me, there's many ways to do the quantum leap. There is many ways. I've experienced, I mean, with some inner work and guidance, I can literally, I have a step into what I call a different timeline. So let's go into that, right? So what is a timeline, right? A timeline is a classic. I'm gonna back up even a little bit more, like quantum field. So the quantum field is gonna be the realm of infinite possibilities. Okay, like all possibilities are available to you right now. So there's a version of you, right? There's a version of Laura that right now you're with me, right? There's another version of you that maybe like I'm saying something and then you say, hold on 1 second, right? Right? You interrupt me, right? And you bring in something and you're like, okay. And there's another version, right, that might have decided, I don't know, before the podcast, let's say you decided, well, I'm not feeling well, let's say, right? And you take a different route, right? So every single possibility is like, have you seen the movie Everything All Together at Once? Okay, it's like it won the many Oscars last year. That's very much that. Okay, so it's like every single possibility, every single version, every tiny decision that you make A or B, you take a different path, right? You take a different, there's a version of you that actually has lived that, is living that path, right? And so quantum leaping, you can tune in and again, the movie I just watched, literally the movie a couple of nights ago, um in quantum leaping you can tune in and change your energy, change yourself in a way that you go from here, from A to, let's say, C, right? You become a different version of you, step into a different reality where again you have more of what you want, or there's a downgrade, you meet something that you don't want, right? And so that's quantum leaping. Now, people often ask, is it possible to quantum leap? I'm going to say, yes, I know, right? You can quantum leap. What I will recommend, sometimes you can't, and it's because, not because you can't, but it's because there is resistance in you, right? And sometimes I've seen people quantum leap into up or down, and they're not ready. They're not ready for that reality. And this is why, to me, I saying that I'm an expert, I know all those ins and outs. And the way that I like to work myself and then support others is like, and this is what I was mentioning, it's about shifting yourself. It's like about you becoming the version that is living that reality. So it's like moving gently. So it's not such shock, because what happens is creates, when there's a big shock, right, it creates trauma, right? Imagine like those millionaires all of a sudden, right? All of a sudden it's like, whoa, chaos. That's why they can't maintain it, right? That's why the statistics last I heard 72%.
Oh yeah.
Not only lose it, but they go bankrupt. They declare bankruptcy,
right?
Because they're not ready, right? They're not a match. Obviously, there was a moment that they were a match because they won. Otherwise, they wouldn't have won, right? But then they can't maintain it because they haven't done the work to be able to be financially wealthy, wisdom, and all that stuff, right? And feel deserving and worth. There's so many things that come up, right? And so, so that's to me, when I work with people into changing the reality, it's about, really, it's all inner work. It's about you becoming the person that is living the life that you want to live, you matching, because like I said, right now there's a version of you that has millions, and there's a version of you that is poor on the streets, right? And so you are here, let's say, in the middle. And so what needs to happen for you to be that version of you, right, that you want? Okay, I see that. And there's some people that see the version of millionaires, let's say, that are arrogant. I don't want to be that, and that's why they resist it. Oh, but there's another version of you that is actually very, like, a benefactor, and very loving and very present, right? And enjoys more life and helps people and creates magnificent things. Like, it's up to you. What do you want, right? So most people, of course, the people that come to me is like, I want that version, right? Good version, right?
Right.
Okay, and there's things in the way, subconscious and all that, and we clear on that, and we clear and we clear, and again we align to your best life.
So how do you figure out what subconsciously is holding them back?
It's to me, it's very easy. This is my to me. I mean, and this is the thing. I mean, it's subconscious, right? And my expertise is the unconscious. Like, I'm gonna clarify. So conscious is like, if I ask you, okay, what is holding you back? You're gonna tell me, oh, I think
Right.
it's this and this and this, right? That's the conscious, right? Okay. Subconscious is like, there's two versions of the subconscious. The one is like, there's something there, because when I want to go for it, I feel the procrastination, the holdback, the fear. Like, I feel something. It's just, I can't. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And so most people, what they do, they force themselves, but then it's just more chaos and more trauma and whatnot, right? So
Right.
that's like subconscious. There's something that I don't know what it is. And I'm going to say the tip of the iceberg of the subconscious is like, I think is this, but even when I know is this, like, I feel like I'm not enough. Let's say the easy one, right? I feel like I'm not enough. But just because you know it doesn't mean that you know how to shift it. Right.
Right.
And so to me, in my work, it's like, okay, we start with that. And that to me is like the surface level. Like, my genius is like, let's dive in. Let's unpack what is causing that, right? And we go into the infinite peeling the layers, right? And what I like in my work, I go deeper and deeper and deeper, like after every session, right? We go deeper and deeper. I like to, in my vision, is about finding the root. It's not just,
Right.
one of the things that I tell people is that let's get you out of the healing, because a lot of people is like, yeah,
I
it
can't
resonates.
believe you said that. That's my whole thing is the I'm telling you, I can't I'm so happy you said that because a lot of people think, no, but I really believe that. I'm such a believer in that people walk around like this wounded animal and oh, that was me. I need to get healed. I need to get healed. I need to go to therapy. I need to go to Reiki. I need to go to some master somebody to fix me. And I'm gonna wake up one day and I'm gonna be okay. And then your years go by. I mean, people spend thousands of dollars and years trying to get healed and
You don't get it.
nothing happens, right?
Right. I mean, you're healing, but so I love that. I knew, that would resonate. So this is the thing. Like, to me, when we wake up, like when I woke up 10 years ago, right? I was like, oh my God, all this stuff. And literally, I remember before buying this program, I said, it's like, what's the worst that can happen? I had a good childhood. I have a good marriage. Money's coming in. What's the worst that can happen? Like, literally, I know all the things that I would see. Oh my God, my childhood actually wasn't that happy, and I was blocking all of it, right? And all this, my marriage was really not that great. It actually was the opposite of great, right? So again, it's like, so I feel like when we wake up, it's like, it's all great, right? There's this like connection, abundance, and magic. But
Right.
then, like, all the things that you haven't acknowledged all of your life comes up, right? And you're like, oh my God. And there's the wound itself, right? And
Yes.
so I feel like there's a time for that. Like the first phase
Right, of
after
course.
waking up, right? So
Yep.
first is like that, woo, I'm in love, magic, right? And then it's like, oh crap, right? It's like there's
What
all this wound,
happened?
right? And then you go into healing. But then after a while, it's to me is like, okay, after a while, your wounded parts are healed. Let go of this, like you're broken, right? Like let it go,
Yes.
let go.
Yes.
And then let's move into transformation. This is what I
Uh,
call transformation. It's not about so much. There is gonna be parts of you that are wounded. Of course, there is a never, because we have, I mean, this memory, this life alone, we have millions of memories, right?
right.
And so, but it's not like such a big sore element, let's put it that way. Later on, it's about, okay, there's this part of me that feels wounded. Okay, there's no brokenness, because I mean, to start with, we're not broken, right? It's just these parts that we haven't integrated, right? And so to me, it's like I go into like, okay, past that, and that's the people that I support. It's like, let's get you into transformation, meaning, okay,
Right.
it's like, I want that, great, but that's the unconscious, subconscious, right? Because again, the ones that's the conscious, subconscious, right? But it's like the parts that you don't know. What created that, right? Because in a wounded space, right, there is different, when something happens, there is different, I'm going to say, layers of impact. Okay. For example, I see trauma as if you were to have a glass and all of a sudden a door glass, and all of a sudden something comes in and shatters, and there's millions of pieces, right?
Wait a minute, hold on. You're gonna freak out. I can't believe this. Last night, I'm in my office here, which is my room, okay? And I'm here with the dogs. I'm working and I hear this explosion. I mean, like the dogs went crazy and I thought somebody broke in because it was so loud. And I went out to the living room. The dogs are barking. They're at the sliding glass door and they're like, and I hear this sizzling, like a sizzle. And I'm like, what's going on? Like I couldn't feel, I was like frozen standing there. What's happening? Somebody break in, somebody's hiding behind the couch. I don't know. My window, I swear, had shattered. The glass window was in a billion pieces. I have wood up there right now. They had to call maintenance at 9 o'clock last night and they had to come and shatter the rest of the glass and put in a wood. So I cannot believe you're saying.
Of course.
Literally, I want to send you the picture.
Oh, please do. It's like, I'm not surprised at all. Nothing is a coincidence.
Wow,
It's all
wow,
perfect aligning. But that's
wow.
exactly it. So notice that, right? So this is like so perfect that we're talking about this,
I
right?
know.
So I'm gonna continue with the windows and then I'm gonna come back to you, okay? Because
Okay.
like this is the perfect example, right? So what happens when trauma happens and you're in a situation like you are there, right? So you notice there's three ways to respond when something happens, right? Freeze, fight, or fawn, right? So you went into freeze mode, right? So and that was something little, right? That was a surprise. But most of us, and then most of the times, or not most of the times, sometimes we've been into this big trauma, right? When something has happened to us, right? And so it's like that window shattered, right? And it breaks into millions of pieces, right? Some of it, I'm sure you're gonna find some pieces 2-3 days from now, right?
Oh yeah.
And then even a month later, like, oh my God, right? How is this piece still here, right? Like I thought I cleaned very well, right? So trauma is very much like that.
Mm.
Very much like that. It goes into so many places inside you. So like you go into freeze mode, right? And I mean, most people go into freeze mode like the first reaction, right?
Yeah.
And so that is creating imprints, those shatters when something,
Mm.
let's say someone yells at you, right? Your dad is yelling at you and you're young, right? And you're like, and so that goes into your emotions, goes into your mind, goes into your body, right? That tension, right? That the nervous system. Now that so many people talk about the nervous system,
Oh
right?
yeah.
And then goes into your subconscious, the things that you don't process because just, I mean, we haven't been taught how to process emotions, right? And we start to shove it, right? And that's where it starts to settle in the subconscious. And then, and so there is that along from that act. But then even more is what generated that act, right? What created that situation?
Mm.
And so there's maybe your dad was yelling at you like mean things, right? Or maybe he was just upset, or maybe he was, who knows, right? And so there's all the things that you don't even know that were just like you as a child. And we do that as children, but also as adults. So we're absorbing, right? We don't even know that we're absorbing. And then all of a sudden that's in your unconscious, right? And maybe let's say your dad wasn't yelling at you, or maybe he was and say you are silly, whatever, right? And or it was a fight between your parents and all of a sudden they're divorced, and then you were in the middle, and then so in the background is like, oh my God, I caused chaos, I caused it.
Mm.
So see, and so there's so many things really that go on inside of us and around us that we are absorbing. And so to me, to your question is, how do you identify the subconscious block? To me, it's really easy because it's like I've trained myself for that, right? In conversation, let's say if you want to manifest whatever, you want to attract the love of your life, right? I'm like, okay, great. So how do you feel about that, right? And as I ask the questions, I can right away feel what is in your body. Your body speaks,
Mm,
your physical body, your emotional body, your energy, all of it speaks to me. I can hear the thoughts. I can start to see what's on the way. So that's one of
wow.
the gifts, right? And so you might say, it's like, no, I feel good, really good. But your body, and again, to me, it's like when people come, right, and they want something, right? I'm like, if you truly, truly were aligned to have what you want, you would have it already because you're a match.
Right,
It's just that simple. So the fact that you want something, that there's a desire and you don't have it, is because there's a block, right?
right.
And sometimes it's just asking, but when you ask, it shows up. And the parts that don't show up, that's where the work is, right? And so to me, it's like, okay, some people is like, okay, I do feel good and whatnot, but I know what's going on in their body. So right away, and again, I get information in so many ways. So I just start to ask questions. I start to ask the person, is like, okay, can you please tune into your stomach? How does it feel? You please turn into your throat or your heart, whatever I feel that there's tension and there's a story,
Mm,
or and again, it can go so many ways. A lot of people are not in their body, so they can't fully feel it. So I guide them to get back into their body first and feel. So we can, again, it's like those shatter pieces, so we can clear it. So it's like, oh, there's something right there. Well, let's release it, because that trauma is attracting and what you don't want, one, two,
mm,
blocking, because it's a fear in you, right? So let's say if you want a partner, right, but you have, it's still a trauma of someone, of your parent or someone, like, yelling at you, then there's a voice, little like voice, and depending, because sometimes those voices repeated throughout your life, right? And the voice says like, no, it's not safe to be with someone because they're not gonna yell at me. But you don't know,
mm.
right? You may not know that that is happening within you, and you're like, but I want it and I want it. And it's the opposite energy is in you, and that's why you don't get it.
So how do you release that?
Oh, I want to say there are many, many techniques, and this is very fascinating. And I mean, I would love to share one tool. There's so many tools, and and I have actually a program that really helps you release deeply on regular basis. On regular basis, that's my path to yourself program, and it's one of my favorite programs because that's the question that people all the time ask me, all
Right.
the time. How do you release that? And to me, I'm gonna say, in my work there is two levels, right? The level of how do you release that, okay? So there is easy ways. I'm gonna share a tool in a moment, one tool in the moment, like okay, learning. And to me, the trick is, again, because we can get so caught up in clearing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Me is like really about, and this program that I develop is about people learning how to clear that on a moment to moment. So let's say you
Right.
you and I are talking and you say something, and then all of a sudden I get triggered, right? I'm like, oh, there's something, okay. So in my conversation, I can, and normally I do that like in my moment to moment, 24/7. It's like I'm releasing that. And I feel that, oh, okay, there's something right here. And so I just start to move the energy. Okay. So that to me is the ideal, because then you don't have to wait. So what happens is, like, let's say, like, finding the root cause of the block, trauma, experience, whatever that is, right? Beliefs and whatnot, finding the root, right? Which is what we want. So your reality changes, right? It's like finding, at times it feels like finding the needle in the haystack, right?
Yeah.
And so what I say to people is like, learn these tools, use them, because I want people to come with like most of it gone.
Right. Right.
So we get to that needle, right? So it's like, okay, it's almost gone. I'm like, of course you can't see the needle, but like that's my expertise right now. Okay, there's the needle. And so we can move faster. See, we can move faster into getting the root and then unplugging it, right? And so that's, to me, the one side, the first stage, let's put it that way, right?
Okay.
The first stage of clearing. And then the most advanced, that actually I'm creating a quantum academy and opening later
Oh,
this year.
wow.
is the next level. So like, which is like, what I say is like, first you learn how to release it. Very simple, right? And again, I have all this, it's a whole system. Is because I'm gonna give you a tool, but there is a whole system again to go
with
how to
it.
sit there, right? With a clearing, right? And it's simple. I mean, once you learn it, it doesn't take you more than 10 minutes really in your day, in the morning. And then, like I said, having the tool, constant tool of releasing, right? But later on, to me, I'm opening the Quantum Academy where it's gonna be like the next level, which is like, okay, you know how to release it, but then why is it that you still have it, right? And my clients are having with me, they're waiting, like, when are you gonna release the next level? Like, and the next level to me is like, it's not about how, it's about where is it? Because like I said, remember the shatter. Where are all the
Where
pieces?
is it? Yeah. Okay.
Right. Let's clear it from everywhere, right? So you can actually step into that life. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. When is the academy coming?
Right? It's like the academy. It's coming in the fall. It's coming.
Awesome.
I'm like right now
Awesome.
building it and building, yeah, the whole I'm about actually to start to launch things that will build the foundation for the academy. Like
Awesome.
really key things like the next level of intuition, the next level of connection, awareness, all that, because all those things, as you know, like my gifts are like open, like, and I do attract people that are intuitive, but to me it's like there's a next level, because when you get to the academy you want to be like,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Oh, wow.
yeah,
And when did you learn all this? You were talking about in that beginning stage, right? When you went to that class or whatever. And how long ago was that? You said like 10 years ago?
10 years ago, yeah.
And after that, what what other things have you added to your tool belt, right? I'm sure you come across other things that you
Yeah,
add and you kind of fine tune it, right? To
yeah,
what works.
yeah. I want to say most, like in my first year, I took like 4 year-long certifications. I was like, I'm getting this right. I was like on top of like going to every single little program or class
Right.
I could find, right?
Yeah.
But I definitely was. I remember having a couple of psychics like coming and say, "You're doing too much." I'm like, "Leave me alone." I'm like, I'm doing what I feel is
This
good for
is
me.
my
Right?
learning stage, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And after that, I've taken a lot less. I'm gonna say I go through stages in terms of like intaking. I'm gonna say my very early age in terms of like my awakening, right? Other than the I'm gonna say the first year to 2 years, 2 years that I was very deep into it. After that, it's been mainly my downloads. And I
Mm,
do take once a while, like after a few months of being on my own, just communicating, listening, and whatnot, I feel like, okay, I want someone to guide me, right? But it's, I'm gonna say right now I'm one of those phases that I'm learning, but I feel like it's more my learning around business more than the
okay.
transformation,
Right.
right? It's 90% to probably more. I'm gonna say 98%. It's all my own downloads, all my own, because I do the work daily, and that's another thing, right? To the is I'm a true testament of like you can only take your clients so far as you go, right? And
Right.
it's because like I am doing all the time questioning, I'm sensing all the time in my body, what is this, what is this, like, everybody talking about nervous system, and they do it different. Like I do it very different, very energetic, and in my case it works because it truly creates, again, like I am not, say my main, I'm gonna say what belief, motto, I don't know how you want to say it, is like I truly believe that we can truly transform 100%. This
Right.
belief that we are always gonna have something, I don't have that belief, because I've seen it in myself. I've seen it, like one of my core wounds on my second year that I woke up that came out is like I believed that I was mean.
Hmm.
Because when I was a child, I went through a trauma, and then I was pretty much from 6 years old to 21 until I came to the state. I was in survival, so I had to be defensive all the time, and if
Mm,
people would take it, then nobody would say anything, but the reaction, I took it like they thought I was mean,
hmm.
right? And so I truly believe that until about 10 years ago, right? And so I've been able to clear, heal, all that is like all totally, it took me about 5 years, but I'm like that is out of me, right? And so that's why I know, and that's one example, right? There's so many things that I know that whatever, like the inner judge, that whatever, it can be totally eliminated,
Wow.
totally, totally eliminated. And so, and that's to me what the work is about.
And then I guess it's a constant journey, but then the journey at some point, like you said, becomes I can't be in this I call it the healing hole. You get in the
Mhm.
healing hole and then but you got to start living. You got to start living, right? You have to start enjoying life, experiencing life, and then you can get to a point where you can help others because I think that's what the whole purpose is, you
Right,
know?
right,
And
absolutely.
I don't believe in a lot of people ask, well, what's my purpose? And I don't believe there's one purpose. I don't believe in that. I believe that it's today, my purpose may be taking care of my dogs. Tomorrow, it might be, you know, being a good sister. Like your purpose is constantly changing.
Hmm.
And, but I like the fact that you said there's a way to get rid of all that stuff and then start living,
Yeah,
right? That
absolutely.
there,
Or living while you are clearing,
right, exactly. Yeah,
right? And
right.
so it's like I said, I daily do my work. And sometimes I mean, once a week I take about 3, 4 hours, right? I mean, there's times that I feel like, okay, I need to do all day. And there's times that it's 20 minutes of alignment and then boom, live life, right? It just depends. And in my case, again, is like, let's say I'm a chef, right? And chefs live for like, that's an extreme because I don't live for this. At times, sometimes it may seem like, but to me, it's about living life while doing the work.
Well, exactly,
And that's what
exactly.
I say to people. Some people is like, I'm gonna just do the healing and then live life. No, or like
Right,
I'm living life. I'm too busy to live life. This is why I created a Path to Yourself program. Because to me, it's like I get it, and you can clear while you're living life. You
right.
don't need to be like hours. Again, this is my, I'm gonna say, my chosen profession, right? So to me, it's like it makes sense that I dedicate myself to this more hours than most, right? But and it's my genius. It really is like it comes so natural to me, right? But again, I live life, right? I'm not like hours like I there is, to me there's a balance, right? There's a
Right.
balance of what brings you joy. And so, and this is why I create what I create, to just have that balance.
And allow people to acknowledge that you can have both. You can
Yeah.
have both. It doesn't
Yeah.
have to be,
Oh,
right? Walking around like in shame because we've all had bad experiences. I mean, whether it was as a
oh,
child or whether, like you said, as even as adults, we're going to experience life is going to happen. That's the other thing I try and tell my clients is you're not going to get to a point where life is going to stop be perfect around you. Like there's still going to be storms. There's still going to be crappy people. There's still going to be, you got to have that in you where I'm going to be able to manage no matter what happens around me, that I can handle it.
yeah.
That you're never going to get to that point. Well, everything's good and everybody's nice around me. Everybody's perfect. You know what I'm saying?
I
Like,
have a different theory on that.
yeah, tell me.
Okay. Yeah, I have one. So, like, I'm a believer, because again, I've seen it myself, right? That 100% of our reality is inside of us. Okay. So, if let's say you're talking like you're receiving naysayers, or like the classic haters are gonna hate, right? But then you're mentioning that and you're focusing on that, hence you're attracting that, right? And so to me, that's a reflection of what's going on inside of us, right? So if you're getting naysayers, be honest and look inside. Is that naysayer in your head? Is that naysayer like
Mm,
out of you, next to you?
right,
Are you
right.
listening to that? Oh, you're never gonna accomplish anything, or you're just whatever.
Right, right, right.
That is inside you. The
I
moment again,
I
the
guess what I'm
moment.
saying is like there people are going to die.
Oh
You're
yeah,
there, you know what I'm saying? Like there's gonna be things around you that are gonna
yeah,
happen. Like
Yeah,
it's
life
not
is not
gonna be, I get what you're saying
perfection.
though. Right. It's not gonna be perfect and there's no problems ever gonna happen. It's gonna happen. But like you said, that's
Yes,
interesting. That's
yes. So
interesting.
to continue that, right? So to me, it's like, and just this morning I was talking with someone about this. Like I feel like it's important to really keep in mind that again, it's a reflection. Life is gonna happen until we decide that it's a different world, right?
Mm,
And we decide and take the action, right? Like we all want, I don't know if necessarily all want, right? We all want world peace, right?
right.
And then how many of us believe that that can be possible? Not many. And from
Right.
those that I'm from those that believe it, right? Are you like, because let's start again, like let's be real. You want world peace, great. I applaud you. Let's start with you. Do you have your minds, your thoughts in peace? Do you feel in peace? Do you relate in peace? Do you have your relationships full of peace? Is your
Mm,
home full of peace? Is your environment?
right. Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
This so and it's a classic. This is where we go into the addiction because we've been trained, we've been raised in that, right? The suffering, the pain, the struggle, right? And so unconsciously, again, once again, unconsciously, we find ourselves attracting drama, being in drama. I mean, look at the movies. I mean, there's the whatever, the killer Jeffrey, whatever. Like that's what people want. I mean, to me, is like isn't enough
Right.
nuttiness in the world? Why do we need to see now movies of that? Like, I don't get it. But like, see, people want peace, but not really, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Peace starts inside. So the moment again, and of course it's a journey to get there, right? But the moment that we truly realize, okay, I need to do my work for me to get into peace. Peace not doesn't mean like bypassing, right? Like really true peace,
Right.
right? Then you're gonna see, because again, all of your life is in peace, and then you affect those that you're in relationship with, right? And then little by little, as we all get into that space, or most of us, all of us, right? But the most important thing is your reality. You're living your reality, and that's what
Right.
matters. The more you step into that space, the more you're gonna see that in the world.
Very
And that's
true.
what I mean by
Right.
life is happening. And eventually, the more people step into like, oh, it, this is my life, so I get to change it, right? The more we're gonna see those changes.
Nice. Nice. That's true. That's very
Mhm.
true. That's a great way to look at it. It's like if you take care of your world, then the world, it would, it's gonna snowball, right?
Exactly. Ripple effect. Ripple
Ripple
effect.
effect. Right.
Yeah,
Exactly.
for
Exactly.
sure. For sure. Yeah. And
How
getting out
did,
of the go ahead, you first.
no, 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 no. Go, go, go.
Oh, I was just gonna say, and one of the things for that is getting out of that healing loop, because it's just
Right.
reflecting brokenness. No,
Right.
you're already whole.
And I also feel like that's kind of a dangerous road to go down too, because then I feel like some people then feel like it allows them to act badly or to be a certain way because, oh, I'm this way because this happened to me,
Yeah,
as a child or you know what I'm saying?
yeah,
And that can be a dangerous place to be too, yeah, we all had bad things to happen to us, some worse than others, but
yeah.
it doesn't mean that, you know, I
Hmm.
can't be a good person and live life the way I want to live it, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And that's to me part of the unconscious, right? Is and it's a classic like you see in the movies. And I remember I never got like to that place. I just believe I was mean because I know like the bitch, right? But it's a classic, okay, if everybody thinks I'm this way, well, I'm just gonna be this way, right?
Right, exactly. Mm-hmm. Right,
Right. But
right.
it's a lot of woundingness. It's a lot of pain. That's what is leading that, right? The pain of like no matter how hard you try. Have you seen, recently I watched a few weeks ago, I watched I don't know where, I think Disney. There is a documentary or like a little show on the guy that created Cheetos, the not Cheetos, the Flaming Hot.
Mm-hmm.
And it's beautiful, if you can, if anyone listening, like watch that documentary. But it's like, it's really cool because that guy literally is exactly what we're talking about. Like, he was labeled as, because he was Mexican, right? He was labeled as that, like the whole judgment and whatnot was labeled right away as a thief. And then he was like, okay, if you guys are gonna see me as thief, might as well be a thief, you know.
Wow.
Yeah, it's literally that, you know. And then later on, as they grew family and he got married and whatnot, he decided, okay, I really need to change my life, right? But it takes a minute, right? It takes a minute, especially when you're young, you know. It's like you feel trapped, right? You don't have anyone that's showing you, like, no, you're not that, right? Sometimes.
I remember a very good friend of mine. He does ministry at prisons.
Hmm.
And I went to a fundraiser he held a couple of years ago, and he told the story about one of the prisons he went to, and he was, doing his thing. And there was a guy there that looked like, I mean, you would not want to be alone with him. He was just like, he looked mean, you know, and he was like standing, sitting there with his arms folded, and he was just, anyway, so this guy is doing his thing and all that and talking about how, Jesus loves you and all, and this guy starts bawling, the guy
Hmm.
that looked so mean. And I mean, he was in there for not good things, obviously, but and he stood up and said, nobody's ever told me that they love me. That's the first time anyone has ever told me that they love me. And you see that, you see those people that are mean, the people that are, they're just pissed at the world, and they have, I mean, you don't even have to do anything or say anything. They're just angry. And it's like, I see that now, and I look at that type of behavior, and I'm like, wow, they're really hurting. They're hurting inside, really, really hurting,
Right.
right?
Right. And
And
how
it's
powerful to say is like you're loved, right? And even more powerful to just look at the person and really draw. And to me, it's like at the end of the day, my work is all about becoming who you truly are, which to me is, you are love. You are the love that we want, right? And then when you center yourself in that truth and to look at someone like that and say, hey, I love you, like imagine what would that do for that,
right, right, right,
for anyone.
exactly, for
Yeah.
anyone.
Yeah.
So what is your do you do your classes or whatever your practice in person? Are
No.
you doing things virtually now
I, I
too?
I I do. I mean, since the beginning has been virtual, I have people all over the world.
Oh
It's
wow.
mainly virtual. I'm next year, as after I launch the academy and all that is rolling, I definitely want to get back into retreats because I was doing a few, and
Nice.
to me, it's like it's so precious to get with a group of people and just have them
Right.
go even deeper and deeper, because it's just not the same. Like, one of my private clients just came in for 2 days of full immersion, right? She's been with me since 2017, and we had sessions. She lives in France, so I've had sessions online, right? And I knew it was okay, it's time for you to come. Like, there's some things that I want to do that I know we can do online. And she was like, yeah, sure. And yeah, like, for the first time, even though we've done we've done similar things, but like it's not the same, right? Like, there are some things like she wouldn't allow herself to cry and to really feel scary
Mm,
emotions like grief, right? And so here in this beautiful space I create and safety, like, she allowed herself to scream, to get angry, to cry, to feel grief, to feel all the feelings, right? And today I had a session with her, actually, and she was crying, and I was like, wow, I would have never seen that before, right? She would be holding it, like, trying not, like, she was like free to cry. And I told her, it's like, have you noticed? Like, she was like, yeah, I feel different. I'm like, yes, this is what I was in this next phase. This is what I was going for. And so, yeah, there's that preciousness to me of the in person,
right.
but 99%, 99.5% of my things are all online.
And when they take your full immersion, or is it like you have different packages
Yeah.
for,
Hmm.
okay,
Yeah. I
okay.
have like I said, I have like a digital program that is a foundation where I teach you how to clear things, right? How to clear things for yourself. And then I have different, I call it experiences, where like my favorite thing when I do experiences is I truly let's say that the upcoming experience in like I'm gonna say couple of weeks to a month, I'm gonna release an experience to help you break from this triangle, what I call the triangle of Bermudas. The triangle edition is like the victim, the perpetrator,
Mm.
and the savior. Okay.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And so truly, again, that shift to me, I'm going for not the teaching, like there's going to be very little teaching, but really like working that unconscious stuff that no matter how much you try, you end up in that space, right? Like breaking that. And so my experiences a lot is like pure energetic works in group. And then same thing, I have one-on-ones, of course, that is more tailored to what the person desires to align to, right? Their vision, what they want to build. And yeah, and then I have the teachings coming up on the Quantum Academy too.
So do they how big are your groups when you have a group?
I in average it goes 20. I have it up to 50. It depends, and
Oh, wow.
It makes no difference because I'm working the way that I work groups is I work with one and everyone at the same time.
Nice.
And one of the things that I like earlier, I was listening to something and I was like it reminded me to that. It's like, let's say we're in a group and I'm working on the victim, right? And then you come up and say, hey, this happened to me. Can you like support me, right? And I'd be like, okay, great. And so start to ask questions and comes up, let's say your mom, right? And like there's we often think what I have found is like we often think that our stories are very unique, that no one else has gone through the same, right?
Right.
nine out
Right.
of 10, 9 out of 10, everyone has some resonance to what you've gone through, right? And so my focus is on that. It's not on the story, but on that
The
energetics,
incident.
right? That is common to everyone. Like your mom did this, and then you were abandoned. Like, how many people feel abandoned here? Right? And so maybe it was that, maybe it was whatever, right? And so that's what I work in that group energy. So as I work with one, I'm working with everyone. And then that, let's say someone is like, I don't resonate. Great, you don't resonate with this. Put it. I always say it's like put it on the field. Set the intention that even though you don't resonate, if there's any part of your unconscious that has this pattern, that has this thing, to be clear, because you don't have to feel it. We just clear it, right? So
Right.
then because later on, as you know, we work through stuff, and then later on I was like, oh, I didn't have it here, but all of a sudden, like 6 months later, it's like, oh, now I get it why it was showing up for me. Yeah. And so that's where I say people's like, just put it out there to be clear, whether you feel it or not, because you don't know what's in your
You
unconscious.
don't, that's very true. That's
Yeah.
very true. I remember seeing a guy in person years and years ago talking about subconscious. And he
Mm-hmm.
said something that I love to tell people this because it just makes it so clear, it like really brings it into vision. But he was saying, if you don't think you have a subconscious or you don't believe in it or you don't understand how powerful it is, when you go see a scary movie, you know it's a movie. You know it's not real. You know that monster on the screen is not real. But you jump. Your body will jump when this monster pops out. Even though you know consciously it's a movie, your subconscious is picking it up. And I just remember him saying that giving that vision, the visual
Yeah.
to understand how powerful it is. And there's it's like what we'd only know like 5% of what happens in our subconscious or something
Yeah.
crazy, right?
5% of us is conscious.
Right.
95% is the subconscious and unconscious. That's a beautiful example, actually. And this is why to me it's like I don't watch any kind of scary movies. We don't even, not even like videos, TikToks, or anything that is tension, that is scary, that is like nothing, and sarcasm, no
Mm,
sarcasm, because you're again 95% of you doesn't know the difference. But this is why we can manifest the things that we don't want, and the things that we want if we're conscious, right? Just focus, because your mind, the true mind, 95% of you doesn't know that it's real or not.
Very true.
So the more you feel into that, that's what manifests. Again, those shards, right, that I was saying from the glass shatter, right? It's the same thing. It's like you're magnetizing that in you the more you are in that space. Again, whether it's like you're focusing on what you don't want or what you want.
I also heard the other day that kind of similar what you said. If you attract a partner that is not what you want, but it's what's missing inside of you is what you're attracting. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, if you attract something that you don't want, is because actually there's a part of you that, I'm gonna say, clicks with that. That part, whatever you see in that person, is inside of you. You cannot attract what you don't have, which is cool, and is cool for the up and cool for the down, right? Because if you see something that you don't like, okay, that's inside of you.
Yeah.
But if you see something that you like, that's inside of you too, right? And it's cool if you think about, let's say, for love, right? Oh, this person is so loving. You are very loving. This person is very judgmental. There is judgment in you. Not be conscious. You might be like, I'm not judgmental at all.
Right.
But there is that inside, that little voice that you're allowing in your space, right?
What do you find most people come see you for? Love, money? They're probably very common.
There's, I'm gonna say, two branches. Okay, in the one branch is the one that I like to. It's like a face. Okay, and in really the second branch is, it overlaps this one, which is I have like several, like, I'm gonna say more than half of my people come to me to become who they were meant to be. It's like, I want to be my best self. I want to be like on top my unlimited potential, right? And so that, and to me, is like, again, I combine them. Like, and there's some people that come, what I call by phases, discover themselves, be more themselves, and then they go into like love, calling in their divine union, their partner, their life partner, and then the next phase is like exponentialize their business. Okay. So, but to me, it's like, whether you're here, like I have clients that are like, they have, let's say they already have a family, they have a business, right? And they just focus on becoming their best self. As I'm working on that, then eventually I overlap them with this, like, okay, how is your relationship? Okay, see that you're avoiding, let's go work on that. How is your business? Oh, you're in a struggle, let's work on that, right? See, and vice versa too. Those that come from this, the overlap is like you becoming the best version that is living in those areas. So different, but at the end of the day, it's the same. Yeah. I like to personally, I mean, everyone that comes to me, regardless, I like to focus in their vision. What does their best life look like? Right?
That's beautiful.
Who are they being? What is that they're manifesting? What is that creating? What is that impact? Right? So to me, it's like, earlier you were mentioning this, like the purpose changes. To me, I see it in two, I'm gonna say, two areas. One thing is mission, and another thing is purpose.
Oh, that's a good way to
purpose,
put it.
Yeah, purpose is about you.
Right.
It's like what you're here to live, to experience, to learn. Like some of us, we're all here to learn love, but in some different ways, right? So self-love or love to others, well, right? That's your purpose, right? And your mission is about others. If you're not fulfilling your purpose, it's very hard to get to your mission.
Yeah, that's true. I like that. I love that.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So, yeah.
Awesome. Well, I have two questions for you.
Yeah.
And the first one is, what is your definition of bliss?
Ooh, like right away, my heart tickles.
Right?
The staticky. I mean, to me, is more than a feeling. I mean, there is the space of feeling the emotion, right? Bliss is, I've experienced bliss a few times, and it's just this is a space where everything, absolutely everything, is beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing wrong with anything, and there's so much love and joy coming through you. It's like truly divine energy coming through you. Your heart opens up so much, and it's just like this overflow, and it's just divine. It's just magic, you
It's
know. It's
magic,
truly. I keep hearing the word staticky. It's just staticky in your heart. It's like,
right?
you know, it's just, and yeah, you see the world with like, it's like all of a sudden you have red rose colored glasses, right?
Right, right.
Everything is beautiful, and yeah. So yeah, there is that, but it's also, to me, the frequency of bliss, right? When life is good, no matter what,
Right.
no matter what, and it just gets better and better and better. And to me, there's something about, like, you radiate it when
Right?
you're in peace. Is like, this is
Yeah.
when people see you, is like, what is that you're having, and what?
Exactly. Exactly. So true. So
Yeah.
how can people get in touch with you? I will obviously leave everything in descriptions and whatever, but tell everybody what's the best way to get a hold of you and learn more about you and your
Yeah.
classes.
Yeah, the best way would definitely, I want to say, subscribe to my website, MaZiXMahalel.com, right? I hang out a lot on, let's say, Facebook, my Facebook group. Like, I do communications. I come once in a while to share a live, right? And that's my Facebook group is the, I forgot the name. A radical transformation. It's like a radical transformation. The easiest way is to find me in Facebook, right? Facebook.com slash magics.mahalel. I think that's what it is, you know. And Instagram, I'm stepping into lately. Message me if you want to know more. If you want, I would say, yeah, just be, because I'm always announcing it into my community. I almost always, I announce it first in my Facebook group,
Okay.
then my newsletter, and then the rest of the world. So I have really juicy things coming up, as I mentioned. It's like, it's gonna be epic.
Well, I'm signing up today
Love
and
it.
joining your
Love
Facebook group. So it's been such a pleasure having you here. I just loved our
it. Like,
conversation and some of the things you said were like, wow. We'll have to talk a little bit more about that. But anyway,
yes, yes.
thank you so much for being here and thank you everyone for watching and until next time, thank you.